Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? This is TJ Jones, host of the State of the Saints podcast. Coming up on this edition of the State of the Saints podcast, we discuss the New Orleans Saints and Chase Young. Chase Young still has not returned to practice. But the good news is Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau did. We'll get into all that and more. The State of the Saints podcast starts right now.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Go ahead and try to adjust myself a little bit, folks. Really do appreciate your time, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. Really do appreciate it. Want to let you know that this show is brought to you by MyBookie. You can download the MyBookie app today. The New Orleans Saints are a 1.5 point favorite as they head into the Week 5 matchup versus the New York Football Giants. And you can place your bets at MyBookie. And you can also take part in the $500 buy-in option. All you have to do is use the promo code SAINTS, and it's very, very easy. You can bet up to $500, and by selecting the buy-in option, you'll be able to get your $500 back. So you can bet freely and be able to sleep at night. All right. So all you got to do is use that promo code, once again, Saints. But on this edition, we're going to be talking about the injury report. Of course, we heard on yesterday, if you're actually watching this on a Wednesday, we heard on Tuesday that Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau will return to practice, and they did just that on Wednesday, but still no Chase Young. And this has been a concern and a lot of frustrated members of the Who That Nation, because everybody wants to see Chase Young. So, but let's go ahead and get into it. Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill returned to practice, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen the videos of Taysom Hill working out. And I thought it was very interesting that I found out that Taysom Hill was with the quarterbacks most of the time when he was dealing with the injury. So that's interesting. The fact that the Kellen Moore regime is trying to use Taysom Hill in that quarterback role. Now, I wouldn't put too much stock into it, because Taysom Hill would kind of, duck his head into the quarterback room quite often. But the fact that he has been in there frequently makes me feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to use Taysom Hill in that quarterback role. And we know that Taysom Hill can play the quarterback position. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he can throw those short intermediate throws and push the ball down the field. And he's also a weapon when it comes to short yardage situation. We know that the New Orleans Saints like to use him in that QB power role, and he's just such a matchup nightmare. And it would be great to have Taysom Hill back on the field. I think he brings in an interesting dynamic. It makes teams, have to stay up at night trying to figure out how the New Orleans Saints are going to use Taysom Hill. And now they got to stay up even later, because now you got Kellen Moore, who has his hands on Taysom Hill. So you have to wonder, how is he going to be able to utilize Taysom? I seen Taysom warming up, and he was talking with Kellen Moore, and you can see the smile on Kellen's face. You can tell that he's excited to see what number 7 can do. And also with Foster Moreau, him coming back, I think is huge. Just his leadership presence, the way that he is, as a leader, being around the squad, and also what he provides in the red zone. I think that is going to be extremely helpful. So having those two gentlemen back could really boost the offense and make it a little bit more explosive than maybe what it has been over the last few weeks. But one player that has not returned, and that player is Chase Young. Now, we're going into 5 weeks, and they didn't waste any time. The reports have come out that said that Chase Young will be out of the Week 5 game versus the Giants. And, I mean, social media is in an uproar. You got Saints fans that are saying that they're tired. Get this dude out of here. He's stealing money, blase, blase. Now, this all started a week before Week 1 when the Saints took on the Arizona Cardinals. And, of course, Chase Young, the report came out where he was dealing with a calf injury, and it sounded like they were just kind of downplaying it, made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. And you had, Saints fans like, okay. Even myself, I was like, yeah, maybe he'll just miss Week 1 and then he'll be back Week 2. And then Week 2 hit, he wasn't there. Then Week 3 was there, and he didn't practice or anything. And then Week 4, he didn't practice. And now we're going into 5 weeks, and Chase Young has yet to show up to practice. This is very, very concerning. And I know that people start to speculate, especially when you talk about a calf injury, wonder to yourself, how serious is it? So shouts out to Dr. Jesse Morris. Anybody that has been rocking with the State of Saints podcast, you know Dr. Jesse Morris, a good friend to the show, is an orthopedic surgeon. He practices out in Miami. He works with a lot of NFL players and professional athletes. And he has a show where he kind of talks a little bit about some of the injuries and what the players are going through. And he's been on the show quite a few times when certain NFL players and also Saints players have been injured in the past. So I reached out to him, and I asked him. I said, what type of calf injury would have Chase Young out as long as he has? And he said that it's probably a grade 2 calf strain or a grade 2 calf injury. So I decided to go ahead and look it up and try to provide context. And the more I read about it, it seems like that is the issue that may be plaguing Chase Young. So I looked it up. I'm going to go ahead and read that to you all. So a grade 2 calf injury consists of a significant number of muscle fibers are torn, but the muscle is not completely ruptured. So what you're dealing with is, a little bit of a torn ligament, but it's not to a point where it is ruptured, but there's a chance that it can be. So maybe the Saints are erring on the side of caution, because by putting Chase Young out there, there's a possibility that he could rupture his Achilles. And also, here's the recovery timeline. They said it usually takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the severity and rehab. All right. So the grade 2 injury recovery, once again, 4 to 8 weeks before returning to a full training and competitive play. Some athletes with milder grade 2 strains may be back in 3 to 4 weeks, but this is on the shorter end. So you might be looking between 4 to 8 weeks when it comes to Chase Young. And if he's dealing with this type of strain, which it seems like this is the type of injury that he might be dealing with, especially since he hasn't practiced at all. So I can understand why the New Orleans Saints don't want to put him out there. I know people want to see Chase Young, but I guarantee you would be even more frustrated if Chase Young goes out there, he ruptures his Achilles, and he's out for the entire season. So I don't have an issue with that, man. But it just happens. Guys get hurt. Some guys get hurt more than others, and it just does not help the cause of Chase Young, the fact that he signed a 3-year deal, and now all of a sudden he didn't play. When he was playing with empty pockets, some people may feel he was out there playing every game. But now all of a sudden you get the contract, and now you're on the bench. But maybe it's because, of this injury. So maybe it's just one of those things where people are just going to have to understand. Like, I'd rather have Chase Young miss these games and maybe come back on the back end of the schedule and be available for multiple games than to have him go out there and try to battle it out and end up getting himself injured and he's missing even more time. So that's going to frustrate people even more. But I'm going to go ahead and read some of your comments. And I just want to let everybody know that I will be on the Dash Knows podcast. He covers the New York Football Giants. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and plug that. I'll be on this show at 9 p.m. Eastern, so that's about in the next 10 minutes. So the Big Dash Knows podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and put that link inside of the comments so you all can come over, check it out. Make sure that you go to the Big Dash Knows podcast and support your boy as we talk about the New Orleans Saints taking on the New York Football Giants. All right, so let me go ahead and put that in the comments so everybody can be able to get that. If you're not doing anything, slide on by. I would love to have your support as we go over and discuss Saints versus Giants. So let me go. I'm trying to pull this up now so I can be able to give everybody the link. Shouts out to everybody in the chat, by the way, man. Y'all can be anywhere, but y'all here with me, and I really do appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and try to rapid fire this thing because once again, I got to go ahead and get off so I can get ready for the podcast. But I'm going to go ahead and rapid fire this thing and answer as many questions as I can in the next 5 minutes. All right. Jerry says, does the word soft mean anything to Chase? I don't want to call it soft, Jerry, because if that's a grade 2 strain, calf injury, that's something very serious, man. And him actually just trying to go out there and practice, he can end up rupturing his Achilles. And when you're dealing with a guy who is an edge rusher, and y'all gotta understand, man, the way that these guys get in their stance, I mean, they're putting a lot of pressure and power. They coming off the back of their foot, they're coming off that calf muscle, they're coming off, like they're trying to be as explosive, and that's a lot of wear and tear. And sometimes those guys get injured. So, I mean, I don't think this is one of those situations where he just wants to miss time. It's just one of those situations where you don't want him to go out there and practice and things get worse. So just understanding that just makes me like feel like, okay, like you don't want to put him out there, even though it's unfortunate because you want to see him out there. TJ, where are the Texas routes and screens for AK? And also, does the organization think we're idiots? Why downplay the injury instead of just being transparent? This honesty only pisses off the fan base. And that is absolutely true, King Arthur. That's one of the main reasons why I know Sean Payton's style of injury reporting was not ideal. Some people were frustrated, but he never left anything open to interpretation. When you're telling people, oh, it's just something minor, he'll be back sooner rather than later, people are like, okay, well, cool. Okay, next man up for a couple weeks. But now it's like we're into 5 weeks and he hasn't practiced at all. So I think that this is a learning experience for Kellen Moore. Like, sometimes you just got to be quiet about a situation. Or if you think that it can turn into something serious, maybe word it a little bit differently. What's up, Jerry G? Trade him. Don't even want to deal with him. Go get Brian Branch. Man, you ain't getting Brian Branch. the Detroit Lions not letting that go. We know Chase was injury prone, and we still passed on Michael Williams. That's because Chase Young gave you a full season of football. So that's the reason why they ended up signing him back. I remember that same thing happened to Richard Sherman. He ended up rupturing his Achilles because he tried to come back early. Like I said, man, these guys gotta heal, man. Like I get it. I get it, man. It's frustrating to see guys hurt. It's frustrating to see these guys, wanting to see these guys go out there and play and grind and all that kind of stuff. But man, if they go out there, man, and get injured, I mean, we talking about missing even more time. So I'm not concerned about that at all, man. I know it's frustrating, but I don't want to see that man go out there because if he goes out there, plays just to try to satisfy us, and he goes out there and injures himself, now you're talking about missing him for an entire season. Got to get Chase at some point, hopefully. I think he'll be back in the next couple of weeks, like depending on like what the severity of that injury is. But that seems like that kind of lines up with what has happened when we're talking about a calf injury. And Dr. Jesse Moyes, I mean, I'm telling you, like, he is really good at diagnosing certain things and identifying certain things based on like verbiage and how guys are missing time. Because I think he was on a show a few years ago when he was talking about Michael Thomas, and this was during the time when Michael Thomas didn't go through with the surgery, and he ended up like prolonging the process. And I mean, what Dr. Jesse Moyes said, I mean, it pretty much came into fruition. So when he talks about injuries and what it can possibly be, I mean, I take it to the bank. Let's see. If that's the case, TJ, why would Chase act as if he'll be back after a week or two? Because there was, look, like I said, there's a minor side of it also, King Arthur, where he could have just missed 2 to 4 weeks. But then, like, if you go back and let's say you test it or you're going through the rehabilitation process, maybe they probably thought at the time it was minor, but it wasn't healing in the way that they thought. So they're like, okay, we don't want to put him out there. We got to be extremely careful about this situation. So let's just go ahead and keep him out for a few more weeks. So that's probably what it is. Like it's just like if you go to the doctor or something, like you hurt your leg and they say the doctor be like, okay, man, take some Tylenol or something like that, like to alleviate the pain. All of a sudden, like you taking it and then the pain is still there. Okay, let's go get an MRI. And then all of a sudden you find out there's a ligament issue, right? That's what's causing you to have that limp or making you feel leg pain. It's not so much about, him not wanting to be out there. Maybe they probably thought if we rehab it this way, he can be back in this timeline. And maybe it just didn't happen the way that they thought. So it happens. TJ, tell me this. Don't remind you of the Boobie Miles situation in Friday Night Lights when his uncle lied about the ACL and cost him his NFL career. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they lied, man. I think that was just an inexperienced coach talking with the media and really, dealing with a high-profile player, maybe didn't necessarily use the right verbiage. Like, this guy's still learning to be a head coach, folks. He's still learning to be a head coach. He's not gonna always answer the questions the way that we want to. That's why, I'm good with a coach just saying, like, okay, man, the injury report will come out Wednesday. I'm good with that. I mean, because you're not leaving anything open to interpretation. And, you're not really frustrating the fans because everybody's anticipating for Young to play like sooner rather than later. And like I said, we 5 weeks into this thing and he's still not there. All right. But what I'm going to do is, folks, it seems like a lot of people have some things to say after the interview. I'm going to go ahead and circle back and we'll get more into that for people that can't come over to the New York Giants podcast. You can come on back after I'm done. We'll finish the talk about Chase Young. I'll answer more questions, but I did want to just make sure that everybody knew that we were going to be over there. So if you're not doing anything, slide on over to the Big Dash Nose podcast where he covers the New York Football Giants. We're going to be discussing week 5. So make sure that you come over. I'll be glad to see you all. And I really do appreciate it. Much love to you. For those that can't circle back, be kind and rewind when we do this thing again. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?